Perhaps a not-so-quick note on trickle-down economics. To be honest, I don't have many high hopes anyone will agree with me on this one, at least anyone on the left. Many on the right will just stare emptily at the screen, or nod in pretend agreement because of how much I also hate the left. The center is where the intelligent life is, that's where I live. I'll find people there who are willing to open their mind to a new concept like, trickle-down economics isn't just a theory, it's a matter of fact. The center is filled with the normal people. They either already know how trickle-down economics works, or are smart enough to grasp the concept, after they've been shown that it works. I'll make myself clear. Trickle-down economics is the way the economy works. It's not a pet theory Ronald Reagan came up with. Get over it. Let's talk about everyone's favorite millionaire, Ibram X. Kendi. He's rich, sold millions of copies of his books. He's on the New York Times bestsellers list. That's how you know he's for sure rich. Lots of money. He can swim in his money. I wonder if he'll ever redistribute the wealth. Anywho, I don't know or particularly care if he bought a brand new house, built to order, but let's pretend he did. Firstly, he definitely has the money to have a mansion built for him somewhere in upstate New York or something. So let's imagine that's exactly what he did. Ibram bought a big lot for himself to build a big house. Thousands of square feet. For the foundation, that's a lot of concrete. Maybe about 10 to 20 laborers set to work on that. They make perhaps 50 to 60K a year, not bad. Not rich though. Every night after their shift, they went home to their suburban house or apartment to their middle-income families. Maybe we could consider where the concrete was sourced from. There's the truck drivers who bring the stuff, 50 to 60K a year. The warehouse workers who prepare the concrete for delivery, perhaps 40 to 50K a year. And that's as far as I'll weave that web because I want to talk about the lumber used for the frame of the house. So, to frame a house you have to order the lumber. This time 10 to 20 skilled carpenters went to work on putting up the skeleton to Ibram's giant and beautiful home. They make 50 to 60K a year. The truck drivers had to deliver the wood to the construction site, the warehouse workers prepared the orders. The other delivery drivers delivered the wood to the warehouse. That came from the mill where the wood was turned from logs to construction-ready material. Those logs were delivered by another truck driver from the forest where they were cut from, or perhaps from the freight rail station. This web is getting weavy. I'm not going out on a limb by saying everyone other than Ibram in this example is working class. Meaning not in any way rich at all. Not to mention that the grocery store clerks who stocked the shelves for the working class construction workers and Ibram are making 10 to 20K a year. So, they're not rich either. If Ibram X. Kendi was the only millionaire out there ordering a large mansion built to order, everyone else I mentioned in this example would not have a job. Do you see it clearly yet? Those who have the means to have a house built for them stimulate the economy. With their money. That gets passed down in a chain of events. It's quite simple if you open your eyes. There's nothing evil about a rich person buying a house. There's nothing evil about middle-income families taking out a loan to have their modest dream home built for them in the middle somewhere in the best place on earth they can afford. Multiply that by a few million and you have the economy buzzing away like a beehive. The economy isn't computers whirring away. It's people supplying and demanding from other people. If it doesn't make any sense, perhaps Peter Zeihan could explain it better than I can. Read his work. All of it. Start from The Accidental Superpower. Overpopulation and climate change. There are people out there who believe there are too many people living on Earth. The reason Africans are starving is because there's not enough food on Earth to feed everyone. Wrong. If we had less people we would pollute less. Perhaps yes. The issue is complicated. The reason parts of Africa have little food is because they cannot grow it in abundance. Not because there's too many people, but because they lack the technology to have a massive agriculture industry. If you have an innovative mind, perhaps I just gave you an idea on how to be one of the richest people on Earth, then hated because leftists hate billionaires for no reason, anyway. The reason many parts of Africa lack technology is because they are corrupt. The warlords rule the land, there is bigotry and superstition running rampant between peoples, of whom an outsider would have trouble discerning the differences. Much like how an outsider could discern little difference in the far left and far right here at home. There is so much land out there uncultivated, you may not realize that, Because you never left the city higher than the Georgian Bay. There is so much space. I can see the world easily holding 100 billion people with room to spare. Perhaps when all the elbow room is taken up, we can start considering overpopulation as a concern. Now, the way overpopulation is connected to climate change is, everyone on Earth has to be on board, ideologically, for it to be dealt with. Just like the center has been saying, if China will not decrease their carbon output, everyone else's decrease will be negligible in terms of climate change mitigation. We all have to work together. We all have to be on the same side. We all are not. At the time of this writing, August 2022, Russia is still bombarding Ukraine and China has began provocative action around Taiwan. Not to mention every lawmaker in North America seems to think Taiwan is Disneyland right now. There's beef is what I'm saying. Putin is a liar, no matter what he says just laugh and try to go to sleep. He will never coordinate with climate issues. She proclaimed that all climate issues are being taken off the table for them. The fact that there is bilateral malevolence between East and West means we cannot prioritize climate the way we would hope, and we will not. The way this connects to overpopulation is, if we as Canadians decided the world is overpopulated, then go about making policy decisions to keep the population suppressed, we can't assume China or Russia will do the same. Or anyone else for that matter. Over time sentiments change. Alliances change. Sometimes overnight Italy flips a coin and decides to be Eastern. That coin is in the air right now. What I'm saying is our friends are our friends today. Tomorrow could be a different story. What I'm also saying is, keeping a low population because of our ideological beliefs means nothing if you have a neighbor with 300 million people and counting. Having a robust population is the key to economic stability, then growth. There is a lot to do in this country, 38 million people cannot handle it. If our population stays minuscule, I can see Canadian sovereignty being lost. If that sounds good to you, that's fine. I just don't want to die over it. Now for the conspiracy I see. I explained how there are espionage artists going about their business in the West. One of their tasks is to keep our population from growing, because if our population stays small, we will never be able to wield a large army. Meaning a large country could use their military to walk all over us. How are espionage artists keeping our population suppressed? By infiltrating government at medium levels. We see them in the idiot candidates who sometimes win. But also the idiot candidates who lose embarrassingly. They force us to vote for the lesser idiot. Stalling major productivity in baby making and immigration. We see them in foreign investment projects that build out housing and leave them vacant. This crept up housing prices. They lobby to keep high-speed rail off any agenda. That keeps urban sprawl from happening easily and quickly. That spiked the housing prices even more. What I'm saying is there are countries out there who care little about climate change because it keeps them growing in strength and in influence. They will continue to use their espionage artists to influence the left and the right to keep up backward and crippling policies at home, while they continue their growth. That's the same with population. Perhaps they can't just order everyone to have a baby, or call for massive immigration into their countries. However, they can try to suppress our economies and populations from growing. That is what has been happening. Next chapter I'll talk about demographics and the economic collapse around the corner.